Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel today. So if you're here, this channel is built to help you learn how to sew, draft patterns, to create unlimited designs. So you want to click the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and watch this video to the very end to watch how I achieved this very beautiful dress that I'm putting on now. If that's what you want to see, then keep watching to the very end. So this is what the dress looks like at the back. And also at the front area, this is what it looks like. I'm yet to iron it. The electricity was out, but I just needed to film this video, so I had to put it on like that. I haven't ironed it yet. So this is what it looks like. Trying to show you guys every detail in the dress. This is what it looks like. So if that's what you want to watch in this video, then you want to keep watching to the very end. And please, the pattern drafting of this video, the link is in the comment section. So here we are going straight to sewing. I'll just give a recap of what the pattern is. So this is the stage 1 of the pattern. And this is the stage 2. The link to the pattern drafting is in the comment section, okay? This is the stage 3 of it. And of course, the final stage, which is the stage 4 of the pattern. Okay, so let's head straight to the sewing. Now I'm going ahead to, this is my front, okay, the whole of the front bodies before I gathered it. So I'm going ahead now to gather it. I already joined my lining. I'm trying to make sure that everything is laid flat, and I'll go ahead to gather it, okay. I'll run a loose stitch with my sewing machine, and after that I'll go ahead to pull and gather it, okay. So I'm actually stopping where I marked a notch, and that is where I'm supposed to stop. So please, before you discard your pattern or while you're cutting on your fabric, make sure that you mark your notches so you know where to stop and where not to gather and stuff like that, okay? So I'm going to have to pull the thread now so I can gather that very particular part where I ran loose stitches on. And having gathered it now, I'll go ahead to pick the second part of the front pattern, which is this very part, that part that did like that part that went into it like a corset, okay, that part that made it look like a corset, okay. So I'm going to be sewing it like so. I'm starting from my center front to start stitching on this very particular side. So you want to be very careful while doing this so it comes out nice and neat. As you can see from the intro video, I was yet to iron it, but it was still nice. So you want to be sure, you want to be very careful while sewing, especially these places that have sharp edges, so you don't have any rumpled whatever, okay. So I'm going ahead to make sure everything is laid flat and neat before I start stitching up. I'm going ahead to stitch up now, and I felt like I should pleat this very particular place, though I didn't run the loose stitch on it. So I'm just going to be adding a little pleat, like it's going to, of course, add to the beauty of the dress. So I went ahead to use my hands to just make a little gather around that area, okay. And having done that, I went ahead to continue with my stitching. So I'll go ahead to distribute the gathers uniformly on the waist, on the other part of the upper bodies, okay. You want to distribute the gather uniformly, and I'm going to be stopping where I also marked my notch on that very second part of the front upper bodies. I'm distributing the gather, and I'm going to make it to stop at the very part where I marked my notch for that front upper bodies, okay. So having distributed the gather, I'm going ahead to start sewing like so. Should be very careful while sewing this. Please do not rush so you don't end up losing after sewing it. So you just have to be very careful and take your time while sewing it, okay? So once I get to that very part where I notched, I'll just stitch it and then I'll stop. I'll kind of run the stitches on it to close it up or tighten it, sorry. Then I'll go ahead and stop. So this is what it looks like. Same thing also I'll be doing to the other side, okay? So this is what it looks like, okay? And I'll go ahead to also do the same thing to the other side, okay? So we are going ahead now to work on the back. So this is our back waistband. And of course, I'm also going to be gathering the back, okay? I'm going to be gathering, running a loose stitch at the area where I'm supposed to gather at the back, following the notch that I also marked. Okay, that's what I'm doing right now. So I stopped the gather at where the center back is, where my zipper allowance stops. That's where I'm going to stop. And for the other side, I also stopped it where I marked my notch. So you have to mark your notches for all these things to make sure you're in line. So I'm going ahead now to sew my back waistband on it, okay? As you can see, I made sure that the zipper allowance of the waistband and the upper bodies of the back are in alignment, and I'll go ahead to run the stitch alongside. Also, I'm going to be distributing the gather uniformly to the back waistband and make sure it stops at where I marked my notch for that back waistband, okay? So that's what I'm doing right now. So once I'm okay with the distribution, I'll go ahead to start sewing. So here is it. I'm gonna have to sew it up, and this is what the back looks like. Okay, this is what the back looks like after I've gathered. I'm gonna have to stitch up that very part where is the zipper area. I'm gonna have to stitch it up to the waistband of the back. So this is what it looks like. So now I'm going to be joining the front and the back together. Okay, like you do on your normal dresses. I'm going to be joining the front and back together, right sides together, and we sew on the wrong side. Okay. So firstly, I'm going to be joining the shoulders together first. I also marked a notch to show that this is where the shoulder stops. You know, this is a kimono sleeve kind of. So I also marked a notch to show that this is where the shoulder stops before the sleeve started. So there is a way I'm going to be stitching this up. I'm first going to be sewing the fabric before the lining. Okay. So when I turn it over at the back, it's going to have a neat finish. I'm first going to be sewing the fabric before I sew the lining. I hope you understand that. So as you can see, that very cut there, that is where the shoulder stopped. Okay. And of course, I'll go ahead now to start sewing the very longest part, which is the sleeve. This is a kimono. So I just had to differentiate where the shoulder and the sleeve is so I don't make mistakes with what I'm doing. So I'm going ahead now to sew it all the way down. So I'm going to be sewing all the way to the hem of the sleeve, which I already used my lining to turn over to give it a neat finish. Okay, I used the lining to turn over the hem of the sleeve to give it a neat finish. So I'm going to be sewing all the way to that point. So when I'm done sewing the main fabric now, I'll go ahead to sew the lining same way. Okay, so I have a neat inner finish. That's just the essence of doing this. So I'll just turn over and also sew the lining. Okay, like so. I'll just flip it over and sew the lining like so. So when I'm done sewing the lining, of course, we are going to be joining the waistline of the front and the back together, following our measurements. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to show you now. Remember, this is your sleeve and this is the hem of your sleeve. Okay, so we're going to be sewing all the way from that very part to my waistline. And that will be it for this tutorial before I join the lower part. Thanks for watching.